kind of highlighted what is SAP Solution Manager for you as an IT line of business. Maybe, I'm using the same slide. I will just reiterate, or maybe as a summary of what Raju was talking about. So if you look at, let's say, some of our SAP products like ERP, CRM, SCM, APO, it is trying to address the core business process like order to cash, procure to pay, some of the examples. If you look at Solution Manager, it's trying to address the IT business process. Let's say I'm taking one of the business processes as problems to solutions. Meaning you as an IT department, you may be getting problems in terms of requirements or in terms of instance, and your job is to provide solutions to address the problems for your customers who are like line of business. So that's what the Solution Manager is as a tool for you, as an integrated IT product, and it's a IT tool. Okay, so the same thing where you can start from a project and then you can implement the project. And in this session, I'll be talking more on this run SAP like a factory and about how you can operate better with Operation Control Center concept. So basically, this part of the portion is basically talks about once your project is gone live, once your solution is up and running, how do you make sure that your solutions are running as per your SLA, where all the systems are like maybe running like 99% system availability, like maybe the critical productive business systems. So basically, it's more of a concept, and there are also some best practices which enables you as an IT department to manage your landscape. It could be maybe landscape comprising 10 systems or 100 systems or 200 systems. So first of all, what is this operate better? Like, why do we operate better? What is the need for operating better? Let's say traditionally, if you are, let's say, solving the IT problems, maybe you are getting an instance and then you are reacting and then doing some troubleshooting, root cause analysis using some classical ABAP transactions or any Java tools or any other technology tools. But now it has to change because, if your landscape is kind of growing, you cannot like keep monitoring each and every systems, or you cannot keep making sure that like all the business processes are running like all the time. So you have to be more of proactive. That's why we from SAP created or enhanced the features in Solution Manager so that it becomes an integrated IT operations management solutions to help you to operate better. So how do you do that? So we have this Operation Control Center as a concept. It's basically an extension of what you're already doing with Run SAP like a factory, with application operations and business process operations. So it helps you to ensure stability, simplicity, and automation. And what it is, it's basically, I think some of the customers have already done those application monitoring, including system, database, host, and maybe component monitoring, end user experience monitoring, and also the business process operations. So, first to talk about the problem domain first before we get into the solution. So, let's say you as an IT department has to manage your landscape, and this landscape, as you can see, there are different layers involved. Maybe so you have SAP systems running on different hosts. It could be physical or virtual host, and you also have some, let's say, the other IT devices like printers, devices, disk and storage. And then on top of this infrastructure, you have the application layer where you have all the SAP applications running. And finally, there is a business process operations where it basically talks in terms of solutions, in terms of business process like order to cash, procure to pay. So you have different ownership. Let's say on the business process operations level, you have business department who, maybe there could be someone like business process champion in your company who are talking to you in IT to forward the requirements. And in between IT and business, you may have some functional support teams, and you also have like some application middleware support teams. The below you have data center team. Maybe you also have kind of outsourced some of your operations, maybe to infrastructure, maybe to some service providers, and maybe even SAP applications to some other consulting companies. So what are the problems you get if you are not running SAP like a factory, if you're not using Operation Control Center? So what CIO expects, in your company, basically good quality, lower TCO, and then also making sure that like any new innovation comes up, it has to like being done with lesser total cost of development or total cost of configurations. So, but the reality is, let's say if you're not using Operation Control Center, you have problems carried across different teams. It just mimics close to your landscape, maybe, or it doesn't mimics your exact support organization, or maybe just close to the support organization. So let's take a very simple example. Let's say your end users are creating a travel expense document. Maybe they are putting some claims, or they are doing some petty cash, or whatever it is. In your landscape, maybe you're having both travel management in a separate system and maybe finance in a separate system. So what the business user will do, I mean, most of the time he may not know what SAP system is logging on. If he's not using SAP logon pad, let's say if he's doing from portal. So most of the time we cannot expect the users to know about the complexity in the landscape, right? So if he's encountering any problem, so the first thing is he will be like reaching out to you through some channels. Basically, you might be frustrated for several reasons. Let's say the transaction is not posting to the finance, or maybe he's not able to print his expense document. So the problems could be coming up, maybe there is a data inconsistency. So as you know, with travel management, we keep all the employee as internal vendors. Maybe that the vendor account is not created from the HR system. So there could be some data inconsistencies. Or there could be a problem in the configuration itself, like what your functional consultants have done. Or there could be a problem in the IT infrastructure itself, like maybe there is a network which is being down, or there could be a problem in the RFC layers. So there could be several problems. I mean, I think we cannot define all the problems, but we can categorize where the problems could go, whether it's happening at the business level, or it's happening at the application level, or it's happening at the IT infrastructure level. So if you're not having this operation control center, all the problems are scattered across. So that poses a major challenge to CIO. So they don't have any transparency on where is the problems are and how they can solve, and whether these problems are repeating again and again. So that's why from SAP we propose this concept, Operation Control Center. I will also show you some of the live examples later. So the idea of having Operation Control Center is like try to get all the problems in a single zone. Maybe there could be some people like who are deployed in the Operation Control Center, and we from SAP are kind of recommending having 2 FTE per shift, meaning you can monitor your landscapes with 2 FTE per shift. Maybe if you are including the weekends, maybe like 10 resources overall. So once you have all these problems identified, I mean, the next step is like you also need to have some optimization process as part of this Operation Control Center to make sure that there are no more problems being reported, there are no more alerts coming up. And the reason why we do is to make sure that our business is happy. So that's the main objective of setting up this Operation Control Center, like where you as an IT department can prove value to your business, saying that before even you report a problem, I'll make sure that my landscape is as per your SLA agreements. So this is one of the live picture taken up from one of our Indian customer. So this is how the Operation Control Center looks like. You can see there are several central monitors like dashboards which are being projected, and there are some group of people who are working on in this particular OCC deployment room. And their job is to, I mean, previously they will go to different systems and then they will log into ABAP systems and then find out if there are any logs, any system dumps happening, whether the systems are available, what is the database availability, what is the database size growth. But now with this deployment, they have, I mean, irrespective of their competencies, whether they are like ABAP administrator or Java administrator or BI admin or PI admin or like BobJ admin, irrespective of their competencies or skills with respect to a particular technology product, the whole idea of having this Operation Control Center is that you first, I mean, whoever is being seated in this room, they know there are some problems happening in particular layer or a particular system or in a business process, or it could be coming up in a database or whichever layer it comes up. So, sorry, any questions? Okay. So what, let's say how you can implement this Operation Control Center. I mean, this concept is kind of existing for last 2 years. I think some of the customers like SR, KNPL, HCL already start implementing this application operations and business process operations. And it's also very interesting to see some of the facts which they have put up in terms of how they reduced TCO by using our Solution Manager 7.1. So it's kind of welcoming for us also to see that, okay, you are having success and it's also by default our success. So the first thing is you start with very basic configuration. I mean, technically speaking, it's nothing but where you start with system preparation, basic configuration, then you go with application operation area in terms of running managed system configuration, and then system monitoring setup or component monitoring setup. Then the next step, I mean, in more of a roadmap, what you do is like then you go to the business process operations. Then the final step is the operation control center. So basically, the building blocks of operation control centers are the application operations and business process operations. I mean, you cannot go and set up OCC or operation control center without these two being set up already, because all the data, whatever is being feeded into the central monitors or operation control centers, comes up from these applications. So what this application gives you is like in terms of alerts, in terms of the current snapshots, what is happening at the systems or in the business process or in the terms of interfaces. Okay. So this is a path which we recommend customers to implement Operation Control Center. So why we do? I mean, what is the motivation for running SAP like a factory? I think Raju also touched upon very briefly on this layer. So the overall objective is, I mean, to have transparency, let's say for CIO or for IT managers to know what is happening across the landscape. And just to add upon, for solution manager, it's possible to monitor SAP systems as well as non-SAP systems. But for non-SAP systems, you need extended Wiley license. I think some of you already might be using it or might be knowing it. And I also touched upon this IT infrastructure operations, and as Raju mentioned, for monitoring network devices or printers, you need a third-party add-on called Realtek. So basically, you can monitor your complete landscape, both SAP systems and non-SAP systems, or it could be like IT devices like network printers or storages. So all this, it's possible. So basically, the main thing is you're getting a transparency across your landscapes. So then it's being efficient, where you come to know all the problems, whatever is being reported centrally, and then you also know, I mean, there are how you can make sure that these problems are not repeating several times, and that way you also kind of optimize using through guided procedures. And the main thing about setting up these control centers or setting up all these application operations and business or process operations are you being proactive. For example, we had one success story. I think it's said to be published in Service Marketplace from TVS Osur, where they said before they were using Solution Manager 7.1, in a month they keep getting close to 15, I mean between 10 to 15 instances being reported from the end users. But after they implemented Solution Manager 7.1, especially the technical monitoring area, the application operation area, there are no reactive instances being reported by the customers. They are able to proactively identify all the alerts and able to solve the problems by themselves before even the customers report to the IT department. So this is also one success story which is, I think, yet to be published. So that's, I mean, basically it helps you, the overall concept helps you to be more proactive. I mean, you as an IT department can be proactively monitors before even your customers like line of business reports some problems. And basically also to stabilize your core business process so that there is no data inconsistencies, there is no interface errors. So that's the main, I mean, objectives or motivations why we recommend or we come up with this run SAP like a factory concept together with this operation control center. So just again, what are the building blocks? So you have application operations and then the business process operations. I mean, that you will be might have configured already in the previous years when you're using Solution Manager 7.1. So what covers in application operations or system monitoring, including technical system, database, host, and end user experience monitoring, root cause analysis, and component monitoring like BI monitoring, PI monitoring, and also like data value management. So I'm not getting into the details. I think I'm leaving to one of the winner, KNPL itself, to talk about both these layers, like I mean, both these building blocks, like how application operations and business process operations help them. Then the other building block is the BP Ops, business process operations, which talks about how you can, I mean, which basically gives you functionality in monitoring business processes, interfaces, jobs, and also having some kind of trend analysis in kind of guiding you like how you can improve the business processes. So these two blocks feeds data to the central monitor and operation control center, and then you have a optimization process in making sure that these problems are not getting, I mean, whatever problems or incidents which is happening is not getting repeated every time. So what is being covered in application operations in short? So it monitor and manage all components of your IT environment. As I mentioned, it's not just for SAP, it also includes non-SAP, but for non-SAP you have to go with some external Wiley license. I mean, again, I'm just repeating this. So what you get clarity on the availability, performance of systems, database, host, and also like with interfaces and applications. And an instant alerts whenever there is a problems happening. Even when we are setting up OCC for one of our customers, like during the implementation itself, we found out that there are close to like some 25 issues which we found out, which are like very critical, which are happening before the OCC is being set up. Meaning the database size is kind of increasing and they are not able to monitor before setting up the system monitoring. So only when the system was going down, they are getting a kind of instance or problems are escalated to the IT department. So during the setup of OCC itself, like within a month, we are able to get down to this 25 issues being closed, and we are now helping the customers to make sure that they kind of optimize this and they don't repeat, they don't get these problems again and again. Then, full transparency and also with the root cause analysis of the instance, whatever is being reported. And if your company is like widespread across different locations within the region or outside the continents, you can also have like some end user experience monitoring, basically which talks about or which tells you or which gives you some indication whether the end users who have been seated or who have been located in different locations are able to get the same performance as you being seated in the data center. Like most of the times you get problems outside your data center locations, which you may not be able to troubleshoot easily. But using this end user experience monitoring, you can also find out, let's say, you maybe SR, I think they have some different locations in Mumbai or Chennai, so if you're, you can also find out like from other cities like how they're able to connect to SAP systems. And of course, like you can optimize the technical performance and throughput. That's one of the key area. And whenever you can also, whenever we say optimize from SAP, what we provide is some kind of best practices in terms of templates to you, where we say, okay, these are all the, this is how you can run your SAP landscape or your IT landscape. Meaning, we say that you have to keep your dialogue response time like less than 5 seconds or less than 3 seconds. If it is like growing, if it is taking more than 3 seconds, maybe you are getting an yellow alert. If it is taking more than 5 seconds, you are getting a red alert. But it may not suit your landscape. You can kind of slowly optimize in the beginning from, let's say, you keep the dialogue response time as 10 seconds, and later on over the period of time you try to optimize in such a way that you get to the SAP best practice of 3 seconds and 5 seconds for dialogue response time. I'm just taking only one simple example, simple metric we call, but we have like more than 100 SAP standard templates with, each templates like carries more than like 30 to 40 metrics. These metrics are nothing but some of the key figures like how we can monitor your landscape or systems. Then about business process operations, and again in short, it's basically like if from IT department, if you want to kind of put yourself as an LOB and then trying to find out what are all the business problems which you as an IT manager can help the business department. That's why that's where you need business process operations. Where we had some examples where one of the customers had more than like some 5,000 purchase orders which are being kind of open, which is conformed in the real world, but it's not conformed in the SAP systems. If you look at overall what we do with IT systems, or let's say even SAP systems, we map the real world transactions into our SAP transactions. So whether in terms of money or in terms of like inventory, we don't, finally IT is a virtual world. So basically this business process operations tries to find out whether your real world is matching to the virtual world or not, or how closely you have configured your system in such a way that your transactions are kind of matching 100% of the real world transactions. Yeah. So this is just one example, and that could be like, you can also use it for finding out some inconsistencies. Let's say you have two systems between ERP and CRM where you are kind of getting the data from ERP systems into CRM system, and maybe there are some customer data which got maybe lost, or maybe from ERP system inventory data you're kind of posting into the separate warehouse management systems, and there could be some inconsistencies. So basically this business process operations also helps you to find out all these inconsistencies, and it gives you an alert saying that, okay, yeah, in ERP systems I'm having for a particular product thousands of availability in stock, but in the warehouse management it tells you that, okay, it may be like only 500 or 600, or maybe like more than 1000 or 1500. So the reason why we do this, if you're having inconsistency, that means your transactions are going to fail, or you're going to have some incorrect transactions. So that's why you have this business process operations for you. Okay, and as I mentioned about application operations covering more on the application layer, and business process operations more on the functional layer. And if you have done the setup of both these layers, or both these building blocks, then you can start setting up the central monitors, which are basically nothing but kind of a dashboards which are available in desktop, which you can project in a high resolution landscape like television set. If you're setting up an OCC room, like let's say in this kind of meeting room, if you want to set up a kind of operation control centers, like very similar to like other control centers, where you are expecting some of your IT first level support teams to be seated in this room, or it's also possible where this central monitors could be like made available to the CIOs or IT managers in terms of mobile applications like iPad. So in SP10, the next feature pack which is going to come by end of this year, so we also have this management dashboards for CIOs and IT managers, where you can look at how many alerts are being created per particular system, or which system is having more number of problems, and what is the availability of all your systems, or what is availability for last 24 hours, last 8 hours, and which business process is having more critical issues. So I mean, you don't need to kind of even prepare a presentation or PPT, and some of the things we are hoping that you can get it from the from your iPad device itself. Okay. So then again, so once, let's say you have done the application operations, you have done with the business process operations, then you are setting up these dashboards, and where you are setting up the central monitors which are specific to your landscape. And the main reason like why we optimize, as you know, I'm hoping that like not every IT member wants to keep getting problems. Even when I was a customer, I was supporting one of a very complicated landscape. I was getting a call at around night 3 AM saying that the payroll jobs are like not running. Can you come and fix it immediately? I'm hoping that you might also have the same experience which I was going through. So with this optimization process, once you are able to find out the problems, once you are able to find out like how you can analyze the problem and how you can troubleshoot the problems, you optimize in such a way that you don't get these problems. So for that we have something like guided procedure, which is also coming up for you in starting from SP10, and where we are shipping some basic contents. But starting from SP11, SP12, you will also get more and more guided procedure, which are more like a best practices to make sure that like you can plan this guided procedure in such a way that it's more of an operational task, in such a way that you don't get problems. You prevent the problems, you don't react to the problems, you just prevent the problems before even it comes up. So, and from SAP, as some of you might be using the roadmaps already, like for every implementation project we have implementation roadmap. Even for solution manager we have for both application operations and business process operations. And for operation control center also we have now released a new roadmap. I think it's got released in STB ICO 37 release support package. And basically you can take the highest SP level to get the latest roadmaps anyway. So you can look at these roadmaps in the transaction RM main in the solution manager system to find out. Basically these roadmaps tells you like how you can set up the project, how you can implement, execute the project, and what are all the steps to be done. And it also has some documentation and accelerators to help you to overall execute this project. It could be project of solution manager. It could be like ERP implementation project or any other projects. Again, a summary, maybe you can take this as a takeaway from this session. So how you can start implementing an operation control center. The first thing is, I think we also recommend this when you're even setting up the system monitoring or even a business process operations. The first thing is you have to find out in your IT department what are all the pain points or severe problems you are facing in the last couple of months. It could be like 6 months or 12 months or more than a year. So first identify your pain areas, which tells you like what tools in Solution Manager could help you. Maybe, I mean, there are plenty of applications in Solution Manager, I mean, within the application operations and business process operations, and I'm sure not all the applications are relevant for all the customers. So based on your experience, based on your, I mean, problems which you're experiencing, so first try to identify your problems that forms the requirements to you, like how you can start the Solution Manager implementation. So that forms as a basis for setting up the OCC. So you run the basic tool setup. This basic tool setup includes setting up the Solution Manager together with running the managed system configurations and then system monitoring, and also with the business process operations. So once you have done with this setup, so basically what you get is, as I mentioned, you get the proactive alerts, which prevents you some problems, whatever is going to come up. And then once you have this OCC being set up with the central monitors, if you are seeing that there are more alerts coming up, I mean there are more problems which are like kind of, if you are seeing some kind of pattern, then you can find out like which other application in Solution Manager could help you to prevent this problem. For example, maybe you are getting more problems in the database layer, and where maybe your database file sizes kind of keep growing, and then you're doing some manual activity in extending your database file size or volumes. So maybe you can look at for data value management or like any other database relevant tools within the Solution Manager, monitoring tools, and where you can start setting up the other applications, and then you can kind of, it's kind of cycle where you see, first you start with the problems, then you do the setup and then see whether how much problems you are able to solve, and if you're seeing that some of the problems are keep repeating again and again, and then you see how you can extend in configuring other applications of Solution Manager. I think when we talk with, with some of the customers, like match certain customers, that's what we recommend. So don't go like full-blown implementation of Solution Manager. So you first start with your pain points and you prioritize your pain points, and then from there you can find out, let's say, which monitors you can start using. I mean, there are some mandatory or must-have applications in Solution Manager like system monitoring, database monitoring, host monitoring, and also there are like some more or like say kind of an add-ons like data value management or root cause analysis, or which you can do it later. So don't start implementing all the solutions together. Let's say you spend like some 3 to 4 months, it may not help you. So you first start with your pain points, get the problems and see whether these problems are being monitored, and then whether these problems are being kind of resolved. And if you are getting new problems which is not being reported before, then find out like other applications which are available in Solution Manager which will help you to making sure that these severe problems are not getting coming to you often. Yeah, so that's it from my side. So any questions or? Yes, sir.
As a practicing project manager that I am,
yes, sir,
the handover from a project to the SAP support team, is there something that you have as a document which says, okay, these are the pain areas you have to hand over to them?
Okay.
And so this is something that can be managed by the Solution Manager, but should not be expected out of a project closure.
Okay.
Is there something like that as an experienced SAP group that you are to be able to define in a Solution Manager for a start?
Okay. Roger? Okay.
From a handover to production point of view, or handover to production support point of view, right? What we recommend at least is that when it comes to at least operations topic, which we are right now discussing, right, from production support, when you talk about business process operations or technical operations, so we recommend that some of these setups, especially from defining those business processes and the KPIs that you want to monitor, as well as the technical systems that have to be monitored, etc., they be done as part of the project phase itself, so that by the time you go live, you are not then again starting an OCC project after you go live, but some of these preparatory activities, especially around defining the business processes and the KPIs, are done within the project phase. So that would be one implication of this concept on your projects. From a general best practice point of view, the only thing that we have so far is what has been defined already in standard methodologies like the SAP methodology in terms of how a go live check can be performed when you are going from after realization into go live and so on and so forth. So the best practices that we have been defined in SAP methodology and have been updated over a period of time. But with respect to the technical application operations and business process operations, what we are recommending, not just for these two topics, even for other ALM topics, like for example, being able to better manage testing or change management that we have talked about before, those topics as well, the preparatory activities can be done during the project and can be handed over so that the operations team who's taking over these particular tasks or these particular solutions will be able to better manage those solutions because all the preparatory activities are already done. Because what we see is that after you go live, if you have to backtrack and do these kind of things, it's a much bigger effort than being able to do it as part of the project. One classic example is process documentation, right? So what we have seen is for many customers, if you don't have a process documentation now done during the blueprinting and kept up to date after that, right? So we have invented this approach about reverse business process documentation, and we are working with many customers to do that, but then if that was done as part of the project and then kept up to date after that, we don't need to do all that stuff just to do better operations, right? So a long answer to your short question, but from operations control center point of view, the preparatory activities had to be done during the project from an implementation project point of view.
When he made his last statement, he says, don't buy all the problems and put it into solution.
Sure.
I expected him to give you solution.
Well,
there I picked up the question.
No, what he actually meant was that when there are a lot of things that you can do with Solution Manager, right? So there are different capabilities. Even just if you talk about operations itself, there are different monitors, application monitors, business process monitoring, even in application monitoring from a technical point of view, from BI, PI point of view, etc. It doesn't make sense to start off big bang, right? Because we want to first see what are your main pain areas, like what he explained in terms of, let's say, if PI is a big pain area for you, wherein a lot of issues are cropping up because of failed messages in PI or whatever, then PI monitoring probably is a better starting point for you than saying that I will implement everything that is there in Solution Manager. I think that's what Giri was trying to convey.
If you're having landscape, or maybe all your end users are being sales located in one particular locations, and you don't need end user experience monitoring. So that we are developed basically for companies who have been spread across multiple locations. Let's say if you're not using BW systems or SAP BW systems, you don't need to set up BI monitoring. So that's what I was trying to say, that when you're setting up this operation control center, don't go and configure all the things whatever is there. So first, for you, the requirements comes from your own experience, from your own pain points. So that's what I was trying to say from there.
Yeah. Any other questions, please? All right, that's it.